going to see the concept of Power Query Editor window. Okay, so this Power Query Editor basically we use where you have concepts. Okay, like you have to perform the data massaging and so on. So in that case, you can use this Power Query Editor window. So let me import the data set first. That is Power BI data set. Meanwhile, you guys can also import the data.
Sir, which data? That order data only? Anup sir, which data do we have to import?
That same data set, orders data set.
Order set data set. Okay, sir.
Huh. Okay. Now it's imported. So if you want to perform the transformation steps related to the Power Query Editor window, then you have to go into this transform data and then click on this transform data. Once you click on this, it will open a new window which is known as a Power Query Editor window. You can see this one. Okay. So here you can perform all the transformation steps related to your data set. So now let it load properly. Once it will be loaded properly, then in the left hand side, you will be able to see the queries section. In the queries section, your table name or your data set name will come. In the mid section, you will be able to see the data. And in the right hand side, you see the properties. Look, now it's loading. Okay, so you can see is this mid section is data set. Okay, the data which you have imported. In the left hand side, the name of your data set, and in the right hand side, you can see properties and applied steps. Okay, the mean of the applied steps is when you import the data, okay, then all the information being captured automatically in the terms of the steps. So Look, the first step is what? If you click on the source, it is showing me the file path name. Okay, that which file I am importing and on which path it is placed. Second, you can see the navigation wizard, promoted headers, change type. Automatically, these steps has been performed, but I will let you know that what exactly the mean by this promoted headers and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, here on the top, you can see the close and apply, right? So if you have performed any kind of a transformation into your Power Query Editor window, so those will reflect into your Power BI desktop only when you will apply those steps. Okay. So if you perform any transformation to save that, you have to click on apply. Okay. Until you will not click on apply, those steps will not reflect into your Power BI desktop. If you want to close this Power Query Editor window, you can click on this close. And if you want to perform the close and apply together, then you can go for the close and apply. In this Power Query Editor window, they have also given the same import options. You can click on this new data, new source, and you can import the data from anywhere. This is the same thing which you are able to see in this Power BI desktop window in this get data. The same thing, same options they have given there. Okay. In the recent source, it will show all the sources which you have used recently. So if the file or that connection is already there, so you can use that. This enter data basically we use if you want to copy and paste the data from the any of the data sources directly to the Power BI, or if you want to enter the data manually. Okay, that option is here also, that option is here also, both are the same thing. So for example, if I click on this enter data, it will give me the wizard for the create table. Look, now here it is asking for the column name, so I double click on this column one, and suppose I'm just giving the name as a ID. Then here the name column, two column I have taken. I'm entering some data manually. I said Mark, Kevin, Rakesh, Pankaj, sorry. Okay, and one more record, Tanya. Now it is asking the name of the table, what name you want to give to your table. So suppose I want to give the name as a employee data and clicked on OK. So now you can see employee data set has been created now. But this employee data set you will not be able to see into your Power BI desktop because those steps I have not saved. Okay. So as soon I clicked on this apply, so it will load my data. Now you can see this is loaded successfully. And now I will be able to see that employee data here in my Power BI desktop window with all those two headers. Okay. And I can use that. Now here, if you see, okay, on the on any of the header, okay, the data type we have already discussed, but in this Power Query Editor window, if in any of the column, if you see on the top, you can see the name of the headers. But before that, you can see the some kind of a icon or some kind of a text, which is nothing but known as a data type. Before this row ID, as you see this 123, this 123 represent the whole number data type. This is numeric data type, but under the numeric, there is a category as a whole number. in this order ID, you can see this ABC. So this ABC is nothing but related to the text data type. If you see the calendar icon in order date and in ship date, so if any column has a date, so you will see the calendar. It means that column contains the date data type. Okay. Now, if I scroll it right, so here, if you see, if you are able to see the 1.2, like in the sales, you are able to see 1.2. So this is also the numeric data type, but this is a decimal number. Okay. If you click on this, any of the data type, like I'm clicking on this 1.2, so you can see 1.2 related to the decimal number. 123 is related to the whole number. If your data will have the percentage data, you will see this percentage sign. For the date data type, you can see the calendar icon. For the text, you can see the ABC and so on. Right? So all these are nothing but known as a data type. And similarly, you can also get it from here. Okay. So this is the way. So now we have entered some data manually here. Now this one, and your data is here now. If I ask you to add any data into the table which you have created by this enter data, so if you want to do that directly, you cannot change it. Not neither you can add any row, nor you can delete it, nor you can uh, add any record. So what you have to do if you want to perform that, click on this gear icon in the source. Click on that. Create table wizard will be appear, and now you can make anything. For example, I want to add a new column. Suppose I say salary. Okay. I said salary is 1700, 2300, 6524. This one, this one, and click on OK. Now you can see your salary column has been created automatically. Okay. Now the salary column is created, but is the salary is the numeric or the text?
The text.
Salary should be the number,
Yes, sir.
but here it is reflecting as a text.
Hmm.
Correct?
Yeah.
So, so in this case, I want to change the data type of the salary column. So what I will do, I will click on this ABC and I will select this whole number. As I clicked on that, so now you can see the data type has been changed for that column, which is the AB, which is the 123 now. Okay. So this is basically the concept. Now, if you see, this is our data source setting. So in the data source setting, if you have imported any file from here and if the file path gets changed, so you can just change the file path. If you want to give any kind of a permission, so permission related things you can perform into this data source setting if required. Okay. This manage parameters is basically where we are taking the input from the user. Okay. If we are taking the input from the user whenever that query gets executed, so in that case, for example, if I say that if user provide the input, for example, if user just want to see the visualization for any of the segment, for example the corporate, so whatever the input user will provide, the data should be filtered for that. Okay, if that kind of a things you just want to go for, so in that case you can use the manage parameters. Okay, that one. Hmm. And that can be handled from here. This added parameter will be enabled only when you have created any kind of a parameter. Until you have not until you have not created, you will not be able to see that. Hmm. That's fine. Okay. Now here in this properties section, you will be able to see the same thing which you are able to see in the right hand side. That if you want to change the name of your table, then you can change it from here itself. Okay. In this advanced editor we will discuss later on. This is related to the M query which generated automatically. Okay, you do not need to perform any kind of a thing. It gets generated automatically. That is the M query actually, which contains the data type and the details of your table. Okay. Now, in this manage, you can see the three things: delete, duplicate, and reference. Delete is straightforward. If you want to delete any query which is nothing but your data set, you can click on the delete and it will be deleted. Duplicate is basically if you want to create a copy of a table. Like for example, I want to create a copy of this employee data set. So I can simply do the control. Either I can go for the control C, control V concepts also, or I can click on this duplicate. Now you can see it is created. Okay. So I'm renaming this for your reference. This is the duplicate. Okay. So I have created the one duplicate copy of this employee data set. Okay. So you have created a copy, but it doesn't mean that you will make any kind of a changes into EMP data, so those will be impacted over here. No, not at all. Okay, let me show this to you also. For example, if in this EMP data, I am adding a new record. Okay, I have clicked on this source, and now suppose 1006 Jacob, and this is the salary. Now if I click on a OK. So here you can see in this EMP data 1006 is added, but is it added in EMP data duplicate table? No, right? So the duplicate copy is basically that is a one-time activity. It will create a copy. So create a copy or the duplicate doesn't mean that the table will be interlinked. Okay, that will not. But if you want to create a copy and you want to keep the linkages between both the data sets, like I said, I want to create a copy of this EMP data table and the new query which will be generated that should be linked with this EMP data. It means if I make any changes into this source data set, then in the generated queries, the changes should reflect. So in that case, you can click on this reference. So once I click on this reference, it has created a copy. Look, I'm giving the name as a reference. So if you see, we have the same data what we have into the EMP data. So now I'm just gonna make the change into the EMP data. Okay. So if I'm changing the, suppose for example, header I'm changing. Okay. ID I change to the employee ID. Name I change to the employee name. Salary I change to the employee salary. Okay, header I have renamed. If I go here in EMP data reference, so header got changed automatically or not, right? Whatever the things you will perform now into this EMP data, automatically those changes will reflect into EMP data reference, because if you see in the formula bar, it is directly connected with that query. So if you will perform any changes or any addition or anything into this EMP data, then automatically those changes will reflect into this EMP data reference. Is it clear, everyone? Okay,
अनुप सर,
great. Hmm.
आई वांट टू आस्क वन थिंग, मतलब इन केस अगर सर ऐसा मान लीजिए कि हमारे पास ऐसा कोई मतलब कॉलम हो जिसपे क्या कहते हैं, मतलब कि हमारे पास क्या कहते हैं नेगेटिव भी एंड क्या कहते हैं पॉजिटिव नंबर दोनों हो, तो फिर उस
हम्म
केस में क्या हम लोग सेलेक्ट करेंगे, क्या रहता है उसका?
निगेटिव हो या पॉजिटिव हो, होगा तो वो नंबर ही ना
नहीं नहीं, वो नंबर
उसके।
तो होगा, बट जैसे आपने बोला कि जैसे ये मतलब होल नंबर दिखा रहा है, तो वही मतलब मैं पूछना चाह रहा था, क्या मतलब वो फिर उस पर कंसीडर आउट करेगा नेगेटिव को भी इनकेस अगर हुआ तो कि
बिल्कुल,
नहीं? हाँ
बिल्कुल होगा, 1 2 3 में जाएगा निगेटिव नंबर।
अच्छा, ठीक है, ठीक है।
Now we have this
Hello.
choose. Yes.
Hello. I have one query. with this power editor query is similar to our Excel power query.
Yes,
So उसका फंक्शनैलिटी और इसका फंक्शनैलिटी ऑलमोस्ट सेम है.
yes, अगर आपको उस फंक्शनैलिटी का नॉलेज है, so the few features are here.
Okay, okay. And second, this is used for data cleaning. So if we have a raw
Mhm.
Excel file or any file, हम Excel में उसको clean करने के बजाय Power Editor query में उसको clean कर सकते हैं.
Yes, yes, and we prefer into the Power Query editor window. The reason being, for
हम्म,
example, suppose if you are getting a raw data, okay,
हम्म,
and on daily basis, suppose when you download that data, then your data exported into the Excel, then the first two row gets a blank, and your actual header get starts from the row number three. Okay.
okay. हम्म,
Now, suppose if you have imported that data, then what
हम्म,
you will do? In the Excel, you will remove the first two row, then you will import the data into the Power BI.
correct,
Correct. But again, this is a daily activity. When you download the file daily from the software, then you have to perform those things manually to delete the first two row in the Excel. So
correct.
rather than perform that activity, keep the raw file as it is, and those things you can handle into the Power Query editor window to delete the first two rows. And whenever you will import the data, whenever you will refresh, automatically your Power Query will execute it, and it will remove the first two rows automatically from your data set.
So if we are getting a daily data, so
Hmm.
if we click on the refresh button on Power Query Editor,
Hmm.
the next data, the new data will be automatically uploaded.
If
No,
if no, listen, if that data is containing on the same path. For example, if you see this orders data, which is here with this file name, correct?
correct,
I have created the connection with that. If
correct.
you replace the old file with the new file and the file name is completely same, so on the
Hmm.
click of the refresh, it will import the data automatically and it will perform all the steps.
Okay, okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. And the second, sir, in the Power Query Editor, can we use the DAX, DAX modality here, or do we need to go
Ah,
to our?
Look, the DAX function we use into the Power BI desktop window. Okay.
Okay,
But
yeah,
here, this is basically for the transformation steps.
okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. So if in case we have to find out GST or tax, we won't do it here. We will do
Hmm.
it in the Power BI desktop window only.
Hmm. Yes,
Okay,
yes, we will create there.
okay,
Yeah, yeah. Now, if you see, we have this choose column. So in choose column, you will see the two things, choose column and go to column. This one. Okay. So now, first discuss about this go to column. So go to column is a feature which has given to jump directly on a particular column. For example, if you have a data set which contains too many columns, okay, and now when you are showing this report to someone, and now suppose, or you are analyzing something and you want to jump directly on a particular column instead of this scrolling. So if I just want to directly jump on the sales column, for example, I will click on this go to column. Now it will open a wizard where I will see all the headers you can see. Okay. And I can select that column like the sales column I selected. And if you have a long list, the search option is also here. You can search your column. Okay. So I have selected this sales and click on the OK. So look, directly it jump on the sales column, right? If I click on this go to column again and want to come on the first window, I selected this row ID suppose and clicked on OK. So now you can see it will jump on the first column, right? So through this go to column activity, you can jump directly in any of the required columns. Choose column is basically that if you want to keep the limited column into your data set. For example, I have this orders data set which I have imported, and I have a 24 columns into this data set. Okay, and those 24 columns you are able to see under this orders as well. Now I said I do not want to keep all those 24 columns. I just want to show only the limited column to the user, my selected column. So here I am clicking on this choose column, and now here it will give me the result for the choose column where I will keep the selected column. So I uncheck all these, and now suppose I'm just keeping this segment, order date, sale. Suppose these three columns, and click on a OK. As soon I click on a OK, you can see these three columns here. And now if I just click on this apply, so it is loading the data to the data model. And in Power BI desktop window, under that orders data set, you will be able to see only these three columns instead of 24. So now this is loaded. And now if you see here, and if you see here, so now under this orders, you are able to see only those three headers or not? Look, right? Order date, sales, and segment. Correct? Now, and whatever the activity or steps you will apply, those steps will be added into the right hand side automatically. Okay. And in the query on the top, you can see that whatever the queries you have performed, according to that, you can see this into the formula bar. So it says you have selected the order date, segment, and the sales. If I say, please add the quantity also. So what you can do is here in this steps, in remove other columns steps, you can see this gear or the setting icon. Click on that. It will open that choose column wizards, or you can also open it from here itself. So now it is open now, and now I just want to add the quantity. So I can click on the quantity and I can click on the OK. So now you can see the quantity is also added over here. Okay. Now you can also add into this way. For example, if I say I want to add the discount also. So you can see in the formula bar, it is showing the header, right? So I can put the comma, and in double quotes, I can write my header name. So for example, if I'm looking for the discount, and now if I press the enter, it will give me the discount column here. Okay. And please make sure that this query is a case sensitive query. In my data set, I have a discount with this name where the D is in the uppercase. But suppose if I write this D in the lowercase and press the enter, you can see the column discount of the table wasn't found. So always remember, whenever you are getting this kind of a error, then you must understand that the header name is not matching. Okay, remember this point. So this is very common error. Okay, so whenever you see this kind of a error, so you should know that when you have imported the data earlier while creating the visualization, then the header name was a different, and now when you are refreshing the data with the new file, then the header name is a different. So that's why you are getting this kind of error. Okay, now if I make this header correct, and now if I enter, now you can see error is gone. Okay, so in this way you can perform it. If you want to undo the steps, like I want to see all the columns as earlier it was, so you can see this cross sign before this applied steps. You can click on that, it will remove that steps and it will undo. Okay, same thing here you can perform with this remove columns. In the remove columns, you can see the remove column and remove other columns. So here, if I just go for this remove column, so whatever the column you want to remove, for example, this row ID I want to remove. So you can select this row ID column, and here you can click on this remove columns. So as soon I click on this remove columns, so now here you will see the row ID column will get deleted. So if you see, the row ID column has been deleted. And here in the right hand side, the steps has been applied now. Okay, and in the formula bar you can see that which column you have removed. So you can see this row ID column you have removed it. Okay, so now in this way you can perform that remove columns. Okay, if you want to remove the multiple columns, you can select multiple columns by holding the control key. If I hold the control key and click on this, and now suppose click on this, so these three columns I selected: row ID, order ID, and ship mode. And now if I just click on this remove columns, then these three columns will get deleted. Look, and you can see in the header itself, in the formula bar, right? So these three columns has been removed now. Now, if you think that whatever the column I select, keep those column and remove the unselected column. For example, if I say I want to keep the customer name, I want to keep the segment, and I want to keep the sales. These three columns I selected. I said that whatever these three columns I selected, keep only these three columns and remove the unselected column. So in this case, you can go with this remove other columns. So it will keep your selected column and it will remove the unselected column or the rest of the columns. If I click on that, so you can see it will keep only those three columns: customer name, segment, and sales. You can see, right? So this is the concept of this remove columns. Okay. Then we have this keep rows. Okay. So in this keep rows, if you see this keep rows, so if I just click on this keep rows, so it is asking that how many number of rows you want to keep from the top. So I said from the top, I want to keep only the 5 rows. And now if I click on a OK, so it will show you only the first 5 rows. Okay. Similarly, you can go for the bottom rows. Okay. You can go for the range of rows. Range of rows is what? For example, it says from where you want to consider as a first row and how many number of rows you are looking for. So suppose I said from the row number 2, please consider this as a first row. So I said my first row is row number 2. And now I want to capture the 5 number of rows. So it will start from the row number 2, which will consider as a row number 1. And starting from here, it will capture the 5 number of rows. If I click on this one, so you will see that 26341 will be your first line item. Look. Okay, and it kept the five number of rows. Okay, so in this way you can perform it. And if I say I want to start from the row number 3 or something, so in the formula bar you can also change these values. Okay, or you can again click on this setting icon or the gear icon and you will see this wizard. Okay. Now if you want to keep the duplicate records, you can perform keep duplicate records. Okay. So if any record or which is the duplicate into that particular column, so in that case, it will go for only keep the duplicate records. Okay. If you want to keep the error record, if there is any error while importing the data, if there is any error into your data set and you want to keep only that error data, so you can perform this keep errors. So it will filter out only the error record. Remove rows. So remove top rows. Okay. If you want to remove the rows from your data set, so in that case, you can, for example, if the first two rows you want to delete or first three rows you want to delete. So in this case, you can use that. So few minutes earlier, I have given the example. Somebody has asked uh, the Power Query related. So I have given the example. If you are importing the data from the any of the data set and your first two row gets blank and your actual header starts from the row number 3. So whenever you have to, every time you have to delete the first two rows, correct? So in that case, you can create this query, remove top rows, and you can give the number of rows as a 2. So whenever you will refresh this data, it will import the new data and it will remove the first two rows. Okay. So this kind of a query, you can generate it. And this is one of the most important thing, remove top rows. Okay. Remove blank rows, that if you have any blank rows, you can delete that one. Error line you want to remove, you can go for this remove errors also. Okay. This keep rows also is very useful. In which case, let me show you. For example, suppose you have this data set. Okay, now you have this data set. I'm in this EMP data duplicate. Now, in this table, if I ask you that I want to keep the top three salary data. So for the top three salary data, if I just want to show the top three salary data, how you will show this one? What will be the concept? Anyone?
Sir, remove last two rows.
But okay, you said remove last two rows. If you'll remove this last two rows, but you have a 7255, na?
Hmm.
That will be the part of the first top three or not?
Hmm.
Just think about the logic. I'm not asking about what you will do in the Power BI. No, just think about the logic. If I have given you this data set, how you, the basic concept, I'm not asking about any formula or anything. The basic concept, what steps you will use to show the top three salary to the user.
Firstly, arrange the salary in the descending order. After that, we can remove the last data. Na?
Okay. Your
Mm.
first point is absolutely fine.
Yes, sir.
This salary column, you have to sort into the descending order, right? So just select the salary column and you can see descending order. Once I clicked on this one, so my data is sorted into descending order, and now the top salaries are above or not,
Yes, sir.
correct? And now from this data set, I want to keep the first three rows, correct? So
Hmm.
now I can go for the here and keep top rows and I say number of three rows. So this is my top three salary now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if in my original data set, if suppose I change the salary for this Rakesh to the 8,000, so which will be my top three salary now? One is the Rakesh, second is the Tanya, and the third is the Kevin. Correct? Now, if I click on the OK, and now if I come into this last one, so automatically it got changed or not?
Sir.
Correct?
Hmm.
This one. So whenever you are importing any data and you have to show this to the user that you want to show the top three rows, so or the top three salary or the top three sales. So this is the way that how you can create into the Power BI. Okay. Similar way, if you want to go for the bottom three or the bottom five, so you have to sort your data into the ascending order and then you can go for. Or if you are sorting the data into descending order, then you have to go for the bottom 3 rows. Correct? Okay. Now, here, in this split data concept, we will discuss later on. This is the same activity which you guys have used into the Excel, which is known as the text to column.